Hi, this is Cathy with inkingitupwithcathy.com, and I have another fun fold card for you. This one I call a slider pop-up card using the Layers of Beauty stamp set. And this is the front of the card, and inside, this is how it looks. And you can see it kind of sticks up, and then we'll close down flat, just like that. So let's get started, and I'll show you what you need for this card. You're going to need the Layers of Beauty stamp set, and we'll be using this one here, and the Simply Said stamp set, and I'm using the birthday wishes here and the happy birthday here. The Layers of Beauty dies to cut out our floral. And then the Unbounded Love dies for this scallop oval frame here. And finally, the Painted Texture embossing folder for the front of the card. For cardstock, get this out here. I've got... let's see, I should have organized this for you, but this piece of Shy Shamrock is 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. I've got a piece of Basic Black that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I've got a piece of Pretty in Pink that is 3 3/4 by 5, and it is embossed with the Painted Texture embossing folder. And so those are the pieces for the front of the card. And then finally for the front is a 2 by 3 piece of Basic White that is die cut out with the little scallop frame. For the inside of the card, get all my pieces here. This is the Unbounded Beauty DSP, and this large piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I have 3 pieces of the light Pretty in Pink portion, and this is 1 1/4 inches by 4 inches. This one is 1 1/4 inches by 2 1/2 inches. And this is 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. And then in Pretty in Pink, I've got this piece here, and it is, let me look here. It is 2 inches by 5 1/8. And it is scored at 1/2 inch and 4 5/8 inches. Now, if you don't want to do that 4 5/8 inches, score it 1/2 inch, turn it around and score it 1/2 inch, and you'll have it correct. All right. Basic White, you've got a little tiny piece that is, oh, where are you on my notes? Oh, here it is, a 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 inch. And then finally, this piece here is 1 1/2 inches by 9 1/8, okay? And you are going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 4 inches. And finally at 8 1/2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to run through those again. 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches, 4 inches, and 8 1/2 inches. Okay. So let's go ahead on this little one here. Oh, and then finally, you're going to need a piece of Basic White that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, a full quarter sheet of paper, and that'll be for your flower. So we're going to go ahead and do our stamping. For our stamping, we're going to be using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to stamp the happy birthday right in the center of this one here. Just like that. And then in this one, I'm going to do birthday wishes. And I'm going to do it a little bit off to the right-hand side because I'm going to have this floral right here kind of in this corner. So I want to have it over just a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I do that over here. Like that. And then finally, we're going to do this big floral. Now, a warning, the reason I have this big size is so that this whole one can go on here. So you want to be careful of that. The other tip I have, I find that inking something large like this, it's easier to place my ink down onto the stamp as opposed to trying to hold the stamp and get it onto the ink pad. So we're going to do a real good inking on this. And then I will show you another tip I have. So I've got this piece here and I'm going to place it on and make sure it's on here. The whole thing is on my paper. And I love, because it's photopolymer, it's going to stick. And I can pick this up and turn it over and then take my bone folder and just kind of run it on it and hold it in place. And that way I'm sure to get a good inking on the whole thing. Now it popped up on me, so this looks a little bit blurry, but that's okay. It's going to work out. And then finally, the one thing I didn't mention that we are going to use are the Layers of Beauty masks, decorative masks. Okay, so for this, we are going to be using Granny Apple Green, Petunia Pop, Shy Shamrock, and Pretty in Pink for my colors. So I'm going to get the rest of this all out of the way and put these in my order. Now, if you have not worked with these, there are 5 stencils and they've got a little cut in here. And right below that, it's hard to see. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's a little number. This one is 4. So I'm going to get these in order. And this one is 2. And they were just a lot easier if you work them in order. 3, but you don't have to. 5. And obviously then this will be 1. So what I have found that makes this really easy, you can do a couple of things to hold this down so things don't move. But what I found is this is a little mat, like Cricut mat that is at the Dollar Tree. So I got it for $1.25. And it's awesome for holding my paper so it doesn't move while doing my masking. The other thing is I want to not have to be figuring all of these out and lining them all up. So what I do is I take my first one and line it up like this and figure out where it's going to be sitting on here. And as you can see, the mask versus my paper, they're way off from each other. But what I'm going to do is place my mask in the grid just so it follows down the grid like this and press along the outside edge so it kind of sticks. Now, as I place my second one and third one, all I have to do is line up this outside edge, and then I know that my flowers will be in the right place. If you cannot find one of these, there are other sticky mats that you can use. The other recommendation is use grid paper and just put a little tick of adhesive on the back of your stamped image, and then note where this outside edge is in your grid paper, and then place this down, and you should be able to do it. Next thing is I'm going to start with my Pretty in Pink. These are new in colors, which means to me that my ink pads have a lot of juice to them, and I want this to be super light. I do not want it really dark. So what I'm going to do is just tap it a little bit to put some ink on here on my blending brush. I'm then going to tap off here on the edge like this, and you can see that this moved a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to just go real slow at first. And if I want to add ink, I'm going to grab from right there. So I'll grab that ink, and then I can tap again, and there you can see a lot of the ink gets left behind, but that leaves me with very light amount of ink. But if I want more, this is not sticking like it usually does. It's been used quite a bit, so I may have to clean it before. I can pick up that ink and then use it. And the other thing to do is to make sure that you hold your mask, and you can kind of take a peek behind here and see if you're getting enough ink. Okay. So I've got it. My first generation is about where I want it to be, which is kind of light. Okay, so I'm going to set that one aside. My mask number 2, I'm going to use the same color. I'm just going to lay down a little bit more color. Okay, so number 2 is done. So now you can start to see how much. And then now we're going to move to the third color, which is my Petunia Pop. Now this I know is very juicy, so I'm going to be very careful on how much I use. And I'm going to get a second blending brush. Okay. So let's see, I like the way that looks. I think that maybe the base may be a little bit too light, which means I can come back over to here to number 1 and place it back on here, because I know exactly where it goes. Goes right up in that corner, and I can pick up a little bit more of my Pretty in Pink and catch those edges again of those areas that I want to be a little bit darker. There we go. That's it. That's the way I want it to look. Okay. Now we'll move on from there. We're going to go to our greens now. And again, I want it to be on the lighter side to start, and I can always decide on adding more. So my Granny Apple is going to be my lighter, and my Shy Shamrock is going to be my darker. So I've got this one, and that will be this one here. I love these masks because it makes them really pretty, but you're not spending all day coloring. I do love coloring with blends, but this is kind of nice sometimes to just be able to get things done. Okay, I think that's enough of the lighter of the greens. That's starting to look really pretty. And now we'll go with the darker. All right, I'm really happy with that. So now we're going to die cut this out. And I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. And I'll be right back with you. Okay, I've got my die cut done. Set that to the side. Now for this card, we are going to use this whole die cut, but we're not going to use the whole die cut inside our card. This little section here is, as you can see, the front of the card here. So what we'll do is cut that off. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start cutting just between these two. Go ahead and cut that off. And then I'll come in and trim along the edge of this to get rid of that excess white. So just like that. Now I don't think you can even tell that that was cut by hand as opposed to the rest of this. Okay, so let's start assembling our card. So for the front of the card, I'm going to take this piece, quick glue down to this one here. Just like that. And then attach it to the front of our card. Just like that. I'm going to get my sentiment and some dimensionals. And I think this one, I'm going to center a little bit more than I did on the last one. And that will go there. Then this floral here, I'm going to want some dimensionals up here to support it. But then this bottom section will go right along here. So I'm going to use mini dimensionals. And put one here and one there. And maybe one out here. Just like that. Maybe overkill, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take and put a little bit of glue right there and right there. And this will go right there like that. And then I've got the Tinsel Gems. This is the 3-pack. And I'm going to use these ones here. And I'll take one, place it there. And those are all large ones, so let's get at some of the small ones. Come on. And there. Okay, there's the front of our card all ready to go. Let's work on the inside now. So the first thing we're going to do is get all our pieces and take this piece here and glue it down inside here. Now what's fun is with this DSP is you could decide to place this color, which would have been very pretty, especially since this one does not have as much intensity on the centers of the flowers. I think that would have been really pretty as well. But I'm going to go ahead and stay with the one I had started with. And place that in here like that. I'm going to take this piece and this panel here. I'm going to put that down. Now, if you can see, there is the score line there and the score line there. So we're going to place that in between them. just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to fold those back and then burnish them. I'm not seeing my bone folder at the moment, so I'm just going to go ahead and press it with my hands. Okay. This piece here, I'm going to take it this basically upside down from the score, and you've got one score here and then a long area. There is no score. And then here you see all the other scores. Okay, so place it this way. And you're going to take this one here, this longer one, and that is going to go here with the matting of an 1/8 inch all the way around, like that. Okay, and then on this 4-inch score from this side, fold in this way so that it's laying against itself. And you can see mine's not laying straight. Here's my bone folder. So I want to fix that. I want to make sure that it's laying straight. So I'm going to kind of adjust my scores. Make sure that that stays now. Okay, and then this one is going to glue down. Oops. And this pattern does have a little bit of direction, so you might want to be mindful of that. It's going to be in this side. This is where the fold is, okay? Like that. Now you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold it this way, like that. Again, you can burnish it. And then this next one over, you're going to fold away like that again. And then this one, you're going to do the same. And I'll just tuck it under instead, like that. Okay. Now, I've got this all set. I'm going to take this piece, and this is going to cup around this like this, okay? So I'm going to just put it like that, right? And I'm going to attach it here. So I'll put my adhesive right on it, right there. And I'm going to just eyeball. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but you want to kind of be centered. And that's going to go like that. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to close all this. We're going to be setting this down in here, and we're going to be gluing two things. We're going to be gluing this piece actually to this, but at this right here, this is going to get glued to here. At the same time, we're setting this to glue at the top and bottom on these two pieces, flaps here. So I'm going to go ahead and put, I want to burnish those real good so they like to stay nice and flat. And I'm going to go ahead and use liquid glue so that we have a little bit of play for a minute with them and they won't just stick down immediately. So we can do a little bit of adjusting. Okay. So I'm going to bring this around so it looks like this. Okay, so you've got this 3/4 inch over here. You can see this DSP underneath here, the little square one over here. This is going to set right in here, but you're going to keep it against this score, but also look here and up there and get those to fit just a little bit over the this matted piece here. And you want this to be flat and straight as you can. just like that, okay? I'm going to go ahead and bend at that, just to give it a bend. I'm going to lay this flat again, and I'm going to take my glue and glue right here. And what this is going to do is this is going to glue to this and pull it, and this is going to raise up. So we've got that. We'll give it a second. Put it here. So now when I open up, you'll notice this lifts up just like that. And that's what we want. Now, we're going to take our flower, and it's going to get glued just in this spot here and nowhere else. However, we need to make sure that when it closes, that it stays going with it, that it doesn't end up like this, right? So what you can do is kind of place your flower in here and then lift it up, okay? So I've got it in here. Maybe I'll put it so that this, how do we want it? That looks upside down. Yeah, we want them this way. All right, so with this up in this corner, that's where we're gonna do. So we're gonna place this like this, about right there. Okay, and then just slowly pull it and it will stay up. And that's kind of the way I want it to go. So I'm going to just hold on to it, kind of in the angle. Get it out of the way here so you can see. And I'm going to put my glue right here. Coming back down, I'm going to place it about like that. Now let's close it real quickly and make sure that those, oh, I got to move it in just a little bit. Got to move it over this way. Just a hair. That's why we want to use the liquid glue, is because then it will allow you to do that. All right. And then I want to check and make sure that there is not any glue up underneath here to catch. And I'm not feeling any. Nothing when I slid it over. It didn't go over enough to do that. So now I've got that on top, and I've got my happy birthday, and I'm going to just put that up on dimensionals. And I'm going to keep those dimensionals in the center here because I want them to be on this part here. So maybe I decide I want it kind of at an angle like that. Maybe I'll just put the dimensionals here, here, and here. And those, stick that one down. My happy birthday goes on here. I think I'm going to trim this a little bit. It's a little bit on the big side. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I think my other one was smaller. I like that better. And I'm just going to place that on there just like that. And that will close perfectly. So there you go. That is your slider pop-up card. I hope you enjoyed that, and everyone has a great week.